Hey, Christmas, let's talk about this great summer movie. Welcome to the show, franchise, the franchise. It's just the franchise, 2 words.
2 words.
And I'm your host with the ever-loving most. Actually, I've got the fucking least these days. I'm struggling. Hey, it's the D-Train, Daniel Ehrenberg. And over there, Henry Papali on the 3s and 4s. He's got his headphones on. He's got his tinny microphone. And he watched Friday and next Friday for the first time ever for this podcast. How's it going over there?
Oh, it's all right. Just call me Happy Go Lucky Hank, episode 287. And just talking to my buddy Dan earlier, trying to cheer him up a little bit. He's got a case of the blues.
Well, I don't know. It's not the blues so much. It's just like, I'm just over everything. It's fine.
Yeah, I try to cheer him up. I always do. I don't think it worked this time at all, but that's okay. Maybe we'll have some laughs on the show.
That's going to be the attempt. Well, did you laugh much watching the movies?
Not really.
Oh, really? Even the first one?
I chuckled a couple times in the first one, but not that much.
I was afraid of this. All right. So
I know. And I actually thought of you when I was watching it, and I started feeling bad because I was like, oh, I bet you Dan thinks all this shit that I'm not laughing at is really funny, and I'm not laughing, and then that's going to be an issue.
It's not an issue necessarily.
But I can't fake anything in front of him. It's too difficult. We know each other too well. So whatever, we'll see. Maybe we'll see if I chuckled at you. I don't know. Yeah, we'll get into it.
All right.
Yeah.
So the reason we're doing Friday today is not that it's Friday. It's Monday. No, it's Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is anymore.
I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah. It's because this is our Christmas season, and the third Friday movie is a Christmas movie. So what we're doing is trilogies where just the third one's a Christmas movie. So Friday after next, and Look Who's Talking Now, which we'll do in a couple weeks, the one with the dogs talking. That's a Christmas movie, but the first 2 are not. Those are just baby movies.
Now, we did a variation of this last December, but I believe they were duologies, correct? With Bad Moms and Daddy's Home. One of them was a Christmas thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess we did do that. But we also did Vacation, remember, which was sort of just like a longer franchise with just one Christmas in the middle. Oh, actually 2. Remember, there was the Cousin Eddie one.
Oh, my God. Oh,
I sort of wiped that out of my brain until just now.
I have never thought of that movie once since, and I've thought of the vacation movies since we've done that, and Christmas Vacation, obviously, and I've never remembered that was ever made.
I would assume the vacation movies cross your mind every day. Once a day, you think of the vacation movies. Is that fair to say?
Maybe not every day, but probably probably every week. Yeah, sure.
Nice.
The chase one-liners, I'm sure. Yeah.
All right, so Friday came out in 1995. I didn't see it right away, but I saw it soon thereafter.
Really?
It came out in theaters. It was rated R.
Up.
And it was only playing at the dangerous theaters, Henry.
Oh, were these in the black neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's right. They were in the black theaters in Long Island. Around this time, I was. What?
Black people in Long Island?
Yeah, but you have to. Well, now it's pretty diverse in Nassau County. But if you back then, you'd have to go towards Queens. Like I lived like 10 minutes from Queens, and the further you got to Queens, the blacker it got, and the more dangerous the movie theaters were. And I say dangerous. They weren't dangerous. My mom was skittish about us going to this movie theater because it had a metal detector at the front, which to me is safe.
I need that in every white theater.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
Once a year, without fail, there would be a shooting there.
Oh.
And so my mom was just always terrified I'd be there the night of the one shooting.
Yeah.
So I didn't see many movies there. It was called the Murderplex. That was the nickname for the theater.
Good God.
Yeah. And my mom took us there every so often. We saw South Park movie there. This was the one I told you my mom got mad at me when I saw the original Kings of Comedy there.
Oh, okay. I remember that story.
For sure.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater.
Yeah,
I was the only person in the theater for that. But great.
But Friday I did not see in the theater. I had to rent it years later, probably around 98 or so. I had definitely seen it by the time Next Friday came out because I was excited for Next Friday.
So when you saw this would be right up a 13 or 14-year-old's alley because it's got weed, it's got Chris Tucker.
Well, I wasn't smoking weed at this point. Like,
no, but you're gonna find weed jokes funny, even though you don't know what.
Yeah, I think maybe Rush Hour had hit. So Chris Tucker was a known entity by me, and so I was excited to see him in this. And I was always a fan of Ice Cube as a rapper, and he hadn't really become like family movie douchebag yet. And so it was an exciting movie.
All right, I get it.
Yeah, and I like movies that take place on one day.
Yeah, that is a fun concept. I agree with that. And a movie that kind of almost just takes, it basically just takes place in one location.
One block.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig that.
So this film was first conceived, Henry, in the early 90s there by Ice Cube.
Yeah.
You familiar with Ice Cube?
Yeah, only from NWA.
Yeah.
And his extremely articulate and brilliant political points I've heard him make.
Well, yeah.
That's primarily these days what I see him doing, like whenever he's on like CNN or Bill Maher.
He's doing that much else these days.
Yeah, I mean, he just, gets on there. He always looks pissed off. That's just his look.
He looks pissed off in it. It's a comedy, this movie. He looks pissed off in it. That's he has resting bitch face, Ice Cube.
Constantly. Yeah. So that's his thing, I get it. He's tough. I know.
All right, but he is tough. He was in the NWA, okay, and he needed a producer.
Dr. Dre and MC Ren I'm much more scared of them.
MC Ren?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
MC, whoa.
But
Easy on MC
Cube was the best MC in that group.
I liked Eazy.
Yeah, Eazy was great. He was second best. But, don't bring up MC Ren and DJ Yella to me. That matters.
I'm bringing them up to you. I remember when they first came out, man. I was so not supposed to be listening to that kind of stuff. I would think I was 9. What was it, 87 when they started?
You told me this, and you had the record, right?
I taped from a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would recite the lyrics. I'd be listening to
Not
it real
great.
quiet. Hey, I was 9,
I would love to hear a 9-year-old Henry reciting NWA lyrics.
I gotta say, and I'm not trying to sound self-righteous because I was 9. I forgive things. I don't recall though me ever, because I was raised properly. I was raised well, as you know. I don't recall whenever they came to the N-word that I ever followed through with that.
No, me neither. I was never one. I had friends like that. It was almost like they took too much joy in it. Because they felt like if they're rapping along with something, then they can say it. Yeah. But I would always blank it out like I was censoring.
Right. I'm pretty sure that's what I did, because when I'm thinking back even to reciting the lyrics now, I don't even know them really with the N-word in it. I can do and
radio hits, I would do whatever the radio, the edit, I would do that instead.
Shit, I did that kind of stuff with Tone Loc, man.
Oh, you're very old. So Cube, Mr. Cube, he had gone solo by this point. He had released his seminal albums, America's Most Wanted and The Predator, and he was looking for film work. and he decided he wanted to make a comedy, which was an interesting choice because there were a lot of hood movies coming out around this time, and Tupac was acting and stuff, and pretty much in serious art films and hood movies.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice,
any of those, Sugar Hill, and whatever. Yeah. So Cube writes himself a comedy. He is afraid to work on his own because he's never worked on his own. He's always had a collaborator. I will never stop saying this. Everything good that Ice Cube has ever done, he has had a major collaborator.
It's easy to believe.
Yeah, whether it's Dr. Dre and NWA or this fella DJ Pooh here in the first Friday movie and on many of his early solo records. DJ Pooh was primarily a music producer. He worked with Ice Cube and he also worked with Snoop Dogg a lot back then. When he was Snoop Doggy Dogg. I think he did a lot of work on that record, The Dog Father.
Okay, all right.
You know that
we got Snoop Dogg posters in both these movies.
Oh, by the way, they did the thing that you hate. Did you notice that? You remember your Scream 2 gripe when there were Wes Craven posters in the movie class?
Yeah, but these are smaller movies, and it's like it's a little. I didn't mind it in here because it's his buddies putting up his poster. Wes Craven, it's just self-masturbation.
No, but I think it was in the second one. Day Day in his room had a Players Club poster, which is, of course, the only film Ice Cube ever wrote and directed.
Okay, that I don't like.
Yeah.
He's in the movie. You can't have your own...
I agree. It did distract me.
I didn't see that. Oh,
well,
wow.
Have you ever even heard of the Players Club?
I remember when it came out. Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, DJ Pooh, for whatever reason, is not involved in the Friday sequels, and I think that means something.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I wasn't crazy about the first movie, but this second one is just holy shit.
I'm not there on the second one. I think the second one's perfectly watchable and has its moments, but I'll just come out right now and say I think Friday is a really great film. Like, legitimately.
Yeah, I know you do. I saw your review.
Tarantino had it on his 20 best movies of the 90s and aughts. How about that?
I couldn't really believe that, but I kind of did believe it. Yeah.
Respect to Quentin on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so Cube and DJ Pooh, they write their script. They're like trying to get it made places and failing. And then New Line, they're like, we will finance your movie. We'll give you a few million. But they wanted Cube and Pooh to star in it together. And they were like, we're cool with Cube, obviously. He's a huge star. But we need a name for this Pooh part. So they shit-can Pooh.
Sounds right.
and hire Chris Tucker, who was basically just a stand-up at the time, but was like on the rise.
Okay.
He had buzz. They also apparently considered Chris Rock and Tommy Davidson.
Yeah. I could actually have seen Tommy Davidson do this.
Chris Rock would have been horrible in this movie and made it an actively worse movie.
Notice I didn't say that. However, I preferred Mike Epps, but that's a whole other story because we all know how I feel about Chris Tucker.
Listen, I'm never gonna complain about you giving Day Day his due props, but of course I am a fan of Smokey, a hilarious character, and I should have known that that's where the disconnect would be. You really kind of do have to find Chris Tucker funny to get into the movie.
You really do, and I never have. It goes back 24 years when I think I first saw him in The Fifth Element.
Oh, not a great one to see him for the first time in.
Well, right, but then it was followed by like Russia, and then I was just like, "Who? This fucking guy?
This nascent young Chris Tucker in Friday, Henry, I think is a live wire talent.
I disagree. I mean, I get it. It's obvious why he pops, and it's obvious why he gets people's attention. He's just not for me. I mean, the movie has a couple things going against it, for me to begin with. It has Ice Cube, who I'm not I'm not a fan of as an actor at all. Chris Tucker, I don't find funny, and movies about weed never make me laugh.
This isn't a weed movie.
There's way more going on, but it's a big part of it. So it's
I know. People think of Friday as being a weed movie, and I think that it developed its cult following through being a weed movie. But but you watch Next Friday, and with Next Friday, they're clearly making a weed movie.
Yeah.
And that's not really what this one is. Like, Ice Cube isn't even a pothead. He smokes weed once in the movie, and it's the first time he's ever smoked weed.
Yeah, by the way, I was going to ask you about that, because you'd know this more than me, because I'm not, is that some sort of, is that Cube saying, are we supposed to believe in real life that he...
No, of course not.
Okay, so it's supposed to be
It's just for the character. He's playing a character in this film, my friend.
It's like straight edge almost, yeah.
I don't know about straight edge, but I think he's on the straight and narrow. Sure, he had a job until yesterday when he got fired on his day off.
Doesn't seem to do any drinking in this.
No, but he does say at one point when Tucker is trying to get him to smoke weed, he says, I drink.
Right.
As a way of defending himself. So, Cube also got his pick of director for this film. He chose F. Gary Gray, and he chose him for the simple reason, how do you not choose a director whose first initial stands for Friday? That's right. His name is Friday Gary Gray. Did you know that?
That's a joke, right?
Of course it is.
That's a good one. That's like a Henry joke.
It is, sort of. Meaning bad? Sorry, Henry. He's taking a drink, so he can't defend himself. He's taking another drink. Very nice. Okay. So, F. Gary Gray...
Letterman sip. Did you like that? That's the Letterman sip.
It was the Letterman sip. Do it again. The face was perfect. People are going to miss that.
Yeah.
All right, so... F. Gary Gray had directed the video for "It Was a Good Day," which is Ice Cube's his most famous solo track, and that's basically why he got the call to do this. He directed a lot of cool videos at the time. He did "Murder Was the Case," which was that 20-minute long Snoop Dogg thing around the time of The Dogfather, and he did the video for "Fantastic Voyage," the first Coolio single. Yeah. And Waterfalls, the TLC song.
Oh, wow. So some major videos that I've seen 5 billion times as a teen.
That's right. But Friday was his first feature film, and it did quite well, so he got to make more feature films. And he's still working to this day. We've covered him on the show. Yeah. He followed up Friday with Set It Off, which I think is a really great movie. And then he did The Negotiator, which was a hit at the time, I think, but neither Henry or I like it. And then, and then he went back to videos for a while, apparently. But then Italian Job, that's what resurrected his career. He did that. That was I know, we both hate that movie too, but it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
And he did Be Cool to fucking get shorties. What a career. He keeps every time he sort of goes down a little bit, he resurrects with a hit. In 2015, Straight Outta Compton, he got to do the NWA movie, and that was huge.
Which I still haven't seen, and I really have no excuse.
You ought to, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's amazing or anything, but they did a great job.
I mean, I was a big fan as a little kid, so I should really check it out.
Yeah. And then the way we've covered him is since Straight Outta Compton became a huge hit, he's sort of become a go-to guy for these big studio franchise movies. So he directed The Fate of the Furious, which was one of our least favorite Fast and Furious movies, I think.
Was it? Okay.
It has its moments. It's got that Jason Statham thing with the baby on the plane. That's great. And it also has he did Men in Black International.
Oh boy, right. Jesus, we've seen quite a few of his films. Yeah.
I've seen many of his. I mean, I like his early work. I kind of don't think he's a good action director, but he does that a lot.
Yeah, I thought about him during this movie, and I was just thinking that this movie, though, is probably the only thing I've ever seen of his where I can detect like an actual style going on.
If you watch
Like
this, then Set It Off, then The Negotiator, it's clear it's all the work of the same guy. But I think he's flattened that out in recent years because
he's
he's
just
making
flat,
more
period.
like big studio movies.
Yeah, he's flat. Period. He has no style anymore. But
Yeah,
Friday, I don't think the Negotiator has any style. But I didn't
I
see
think it
Set It Off.
does. I mean, I don't like that movie, but I think there's something going on there.
Yeah, but this movie's trying all kinds of stuff. He's got like there's a bit of a there's some sequences that reminded me of a little Jarmusch.
Those black and white flashbacks.
Yeah, some Kevin Smith. I think he's aiming
Definitely Clerks influenced.
Oh, huge!
And Cube said that when they were having trouble getting it made, they thought about doing it themselves in black and white.
Oh, right, right. Almost feel like black and white would have been a good way to do this. I think I might have even enjoyed it more. I don't know.
No, it's too vibrant. Listen, I'll tell you, I had one of my best viewing experiences watching this movie, and it needed to be in color for that to happen. This was probably the last time I watched it, whatever it says on Letterboxd, 2 or 3 years ago. And listen to this. It just came together. You know, did you ever have like just a movie watching experience that's nothing special, but you just remember it because it was so nice?
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
All right. So picture this. Thursday night, I went out with a girl in Queens. All right?
Mm-hmm.
We fucked. I slept over. Then it's like the next day, the next morning. It was Friday. I was off. I had nothing to do. Okay? I had my laptop with me because I brought it so we could like watch something together because she was one of these people who like doesn't own a television. And so it was fully charged, Henry. And I had to go through Manhattan to get back to Brooklyn, you know? So I stopped in Manhattan at the 81st Street Natural History Museum stop, okay?
Oh.
Yeah. Took myself out, went into Central Park. I found a beautiful lawn, which was like mostly empty, and the people that were there were chill.
Yeah.
I laid out something I had with me, my jacket or something.
Yeah.
I laid down. I used my bag as a pillow, put my laptop on my chest, and laid out in the sun, baby, and watched Friday.
Wow. Well, that's more than a regular, just nice viewing. That sounds like a memorable viewing.
Incredible.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Incredible. And so I think if you asked me like for a star rating before that viewing, I would probably have said 3 or something. And now Friday's one of my favorite movies of all time because of that viewing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. That's a wow. Kudos to you. I could never watch a movie in that sort of physical discomfort.
Oh, no problem. Don't even worry about it. I remember I watched a movie on my phone, like laying on a bench in Union Square once. I think the movie was actually the Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Wow, that's genius. Yeah, I can't do that, man. I need utter and total comfort and total silence. I can't do that.
I used to be that way. I've relaxed.
I'm old. And I can't handle that kind of thing.
I know. Agreed. You are old. MTV, they nominated this for some awards.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I want my MTV.
That's crazy. Okay. Quite a few noms, actually. Chris Tucker, nominated for Best Breakthrough Performance, Henry. But he lost to our old friend Kloondog in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, I was going to say 95.
First big movie role for Kloondog, coming off of ER. Cube and Tucker were nominated for the Best On-Screen Duo, and they lost to Farley and Spade for Tommy Boy.
Fair enough.
I knew you'd say that.
Of course.
And I agree. Chris Tucker was also nominated for Best Comedic Performance, and he lost to Mr. Jimothy Carey.
For what?
Ace Ventura, colon, When Nature Calls. And you know they showed the clip. They were like, and the winner, Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. And the second they said that, they showed the clip of him with the asparagus sticking out of his mouth.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Not the Slinky clip, which is much funnier.
They probably showed him coming out of the rhino's ass, too.
Yeah, you're so right. Or the Mr. Monopoly clip, which
they might have shown that clip.
that's what had me in stitches. Yeah. That's the two moments in that movie that made me laugh. Yep.
No, that's not true. We liked the cliffhanger opening. Remember the opening is a parody of Cliffhanger?
With Raccoon, yeah. Genius. Yeah.
That is great. All right. This film, on a budget of $3.5 million, made $27.4 million at the box office, and then was a huge hit on video. It was number 62 for the year. Came in right between Major Pain and Now and Then.
Wow, Now and Then. Rosie O'Donnell and Christina Ricci.
As I lay me down to sleep and I pray to come in, dear. Whatever, I'm tone deaf. But listen, I used to know how to sing. Now and Then does not hold up. I tried to watch it a few years ago. Here's something crazy about Now and Then. All the young performances are good, like Christina Ricci and Thora Birch and all those guys.
Yeah.
And then all the older actors, like Melanie Griffith and Rosie O'Donnell, they're all horrible. And so it's, I think, the only movie in American history where the kid cast is better cast than the adult cast.
Yeah, I saw that movie. I don't know why, but I've seen that movie, and I didn't like it. But I
love parts of it. Remember when they run into Brendan Fraser and he's like a Vietnam vet?
No. I don't remember anything about it. I can't even remember the other older women in it.
I want to say Demi Moore is one of them.
It could be.
Let's look it up. Now and Then.
I know they were trying to do the balance between...
All right, they got Christina Ricci grows up into Rosie O'Donnell in that film.
Okay. Well, that's unfair.
That's tough for her. Thora Birch grows up into Melanie Griffith.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's all right. Demi Moore grows... Oh, no. Gabby Hoffman grows up into Demi Moore.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Gabby Hoffman in that.
Yeah, and then this rando who died at the age of 26 in 2007 of an accidental drug overdose. Her name was Ashley Aston Moore. She grew up into Rita Wilson, which is a shame. Actually, she didn't grow up at all, frankly. She died. We'll talk about another horrible death later in the show. Oh, great. He doesn't know about it.
Oh, very excited. Very excited.
All right, so let's talk about Friday. It opens on a Friday morning. Ice Cube is waking up in his hood of Watts in L.A. and or California anyway. I don't know the geography.
Well, they say Watts and they say South Central, so
either way, I'm ignorant on this completely. We're just two whites from New York discussing this film. You just burp?
It felt like something was happening, and then it didn't happen.
So I will take you burping over you vaping directly into the mic, which you've been doing constantly lately.
Oh, really? Have listeners been complaining?
No, I've been complaining. Fuck off. All right, some Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door, which I thought was hilarious because that was a frequent thing in my neighborhood. My mom was very close with the Jehovah's Witnesses, would invite them in frequently and discuss Jehovah with them.
Really?
Yeah. I
haven't had that happen to me since I lived in Pittsburgh. But I believe there wasn't quite a slamming of the door, but pretty much a closing slowly in their face motion.
Well, that's what Ice Cube does, and I like the one Jehovah's Witness just going, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Let's
meet the fam. John Witherspoon is dad. He's he appears from behind the refrigerator door eating a large plastic bag of grapes. And
it's a funny visual, and I like John Witherspoon. I specifically remember him being the only watchable part of Boomerang.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a pretty bad movie.
I don't like that movie at all.
Yeah. It's very misogynistic.
Yeah, and I was like Eddie's. If he was descending, that was the descent. That was the confirmation of the descent of him just turning into making bad movies.
For me, it's Cop 3. I can still like some of the other shit he's making in those early 90s. Cop 3 was the end of it for me.
That's interesting. Now, for me, it was Distinguished Gentleman and Boomerang.
Well, I've never seen Distinguished Gentleman, and I like Harlem Nights more than most people, so I don't know.
Harlem Nights is, I haven't seen it in 25 years.
Why are we talking about Eddie Murphy again?
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But anyway, Witherspoon, because I saw your review, and I know you thought everything he did was funny. I think he is a obviously hilarious person, a naturally funny person. I just wish they didn't give him. There's so much scatological humor in this movie.
Oh, whatever. There's the one scene where he goes into the bathroom and he's shitting.
It's constant.
It's not constant.
And in the second movie, they do it again.
It is constant in the second movie. Yeah. That's different. That's a different movie. These are very different movies. I cannot stress that enough.
Oh, yeah, they are. But all right.
I really find John Witherspoon hilarious, and the Wayans brothers pretty much took his character in this movie and made him a character in the Wayans brothers show, because he plays their dad on that, and he's doing exactly the same shit.
Okay.
Yeah. John Witherspoon to me is a fucking master. Is he around?
No, he's dead. A couple years ago.
Yeah. Did they? I feel like whatever deal was made about his death, they didn't make a big enough deal. Because I think the guy's a master. Every time I've ever seen John Witherspoon in anything, he's hysterical. He adds to it. To me, he's like the black Eugene Levy. Like when he pops up on screen, I'm ready to laugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So he's dad, and we meet the mom, who is much more sort of doting on the son, and she's played.
Sorry, no, continue.
No, she's Anna Maria Horsford, who you've seen in everything.
She, I found much funnier. The lines she's given and her performance.
She's also in the fucking Wayans Brothers show. The Wayans Brothers just saw Friday, loved it, and they were just like, let's do that.
Yeah.
They even kind of have that dynamic. Fucking Sean is Ice Cube and Marlon is Chris Tucker. I'm starting to realize something. The Wayans brothers stole their entire career from Friday.
I never watched the Wayans Brothers show, so I don't know. Yeah.
I'm horrified.
Uh-oh.
All right, anyway. You thought she was funnier?
I did. The stuff she's given to do, the lines she's given to say, I thought were better.
Well, I think she's hilarious. I love when she's yelling across the street to their neighbor.
I love that too. That was great.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things in the movie. So there you go.
Okay, So Cube got fired yesterday. We don't find out what his job was, I don't think, but he got fired on his day off, which I think is a great detail. He goes in to pick up his check and then they fire him. Which almost happened to me once, Henry, at Barnes & Noble.
Getting fired on your day off?
Yeah. I had been broken up with. I was dumped on a morning, and I was too distraught to come into work, so I called out.
Were we friends?
We were friends, yeah.
Okay.
Then I went to, I think so, anyway. Anyway, so it might have been before we were friends.
Well, you tell me which girl, but I don't want you to say the name. If you told me that, I'd know because of my crazy memory for dates. It was
Coy.
Oh, well, yeah, we were fucking friends. Jesus.
The first time, though. The first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I met her when the first time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we went to that bar together.
That awesome bar, that shitty fucking shithole by Penn Station.
Yeah. No, we went to a different one with her by Union Square.
No, but the first time I ever met her was the one by MSG. Remember that hole in the wall?
You're thinking of Hannah.
No, I'm not.
Fuck.
I even remember the conversation because we were talking about smoking, and that was the first time I learned of your extreme Well, no, I mean a correct hypersensitivity to smoking, and
Cigarettes?
yeah, but I didn't even smoke, so it came up out of nowhere. I don't know what it
I
was.
don't have a hypersensitivity to cigarettes. I like cigarette smoke.
You talked about your relatives and lung cancer, and it was
Oh, that's why I never started smoke. Yeah, I've never smoked on a regular basis because my grandparents died of lung cancer.
yeah. And me and Rachel were like listening to you very intently. Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, how did we get on that?
because you almost got fired because you were distraught.
Oh, when she broke up with me, I called out of work and then I got drunk at this bar, and one of my friends was like working a shift, and I wanted to discuss the breakup with him, and I went into work and somebody saw me and they were like, "You called out," and I was visibly drunk. It was bad.
I don't. Maybe it didn't work, and I don't remember that. All right.
Okay, so Chris Tucker is introduced at minute 12, takes over the whole movie. Also, we were introduced to a gun, and you think, oh, a gun. I guess that'll come back in the third act.
Yeah, that's pretty Chekhovian right there. That you see that gun, you know that's going
I
to come
bet
back.
Cube used those terms, too, when they were writing the script.
Chekhovian!
Is that how he sounds? All right, so they basically they sit outside in a two-shot on these two lawn chairs and discuss shit, and that's the movie. And we meet the denizens of the neighborhood. A lot of the movie is sort of world building. Like we sort of go through this block and meet the interesting characters on the block. So like I am a big fan of Stanley, the guy who is skittish about people stepping on his grass. Because there was always a guy like that in my neighborhood too. Not that I grew up in like the hood or what have you.
No, I get you.
Yeah. So there's also Debo, who becomes very important. He's played by Tiny Lister Jr. By the way, I noticed he's credited in the film as Tiny Zeus Lister Jr.
That's how I always knew him.
That's sort of fascinating to me. He of course,
I think he dropped the Zeus at some point, I guess.
He definitely dropped the Zeus. Well, he never had the Zeus before No Holds Barred.
Okay, because I always
he was
think of him
Tiny Lister Jr., right? And then he did No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan. And in that movie, he plays a character named Zeus.
Oh, see,
who wrestles Hulk Hogan. And then, when No Holds Barred came out, they did a WWF pay-per-view where Hulk Hogan wrestled Zeus.
Okay.
And Tiny Lister wrestled in character as Zeus. And I always like wondered what like the explanation was for that in like kayfabe and like reality. Like, is Vince McMahon trying to tell us that like Hulk Hogan went off to do No Holds Barred? There was another actor, Zeus, on the set, playing himself. In losing to Hulk Hogan in the finale of that film, he got so incensed because for some reason he thought his character was going to win that he then needed to battle Hulk Hogan in a wrestling ring in real life.
Well, it's theater, so you could argue a continuity of theatrical characters going from the screen to the ring.
But I've never seen them break the fourth wall like that, you know?
Sure, breaking of the fourth wall.
Yeah. It's not like The Rock showed up after, like, the Scorpion King in WWF and was like, I'm the Scorpion King now. That's my character.
That's why I always associated him with that name, because I think I was still watching
Yeah, you
wrestling.
probably knew him as a big heel.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the years, like, what? When he was...
89, 90, around there.
God, yeah, that's absolutely why I associate him with that name. Yeah. I didn't know that
until you just from that movie, so it's so weird. And that movie fucking tanked Henry. So, like, here he is in 1995, 5 or 6 years after that movie came out, incorporating his character name from that movie into his stage name here.
Yeah.
It's perverse.
That is weird. That is weird. He's still going, Tiny Lister, though, right? He's still acting.
Still looks the same to me.
Yeah, he was in the fucking... Well, it was 13 years ago. But he was in the Dark Knight, for Christ's sakes.
Debo is a great name. I think Ice Cube is very gifted at character names.
Do you think he came up with the names?
I mean, it was either him or DJ Pooh.
No. Who are we going to give credit?
But you know what? I'm going to give Ice Cube the credit because he came... You know, he has sole writing credit on Next Friday. So he came up with Day Day, which is just as good a name. We meet Debo in flashback in the black and white flashback that we mentioned earlier, and he's sort of the neighborhood bully, which will come into play. He's also dating Ice Cube's love interest's sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia. Do you know about Bye Felicia? Did you recognize that?
I know about it, and when I heard it in the movie, I was like, this must be where that came from. I didn't know the absolute origin of it because it's gone through all these permutations of people claiming it. But,
I use it.
Do you?
I say Bye Felicia all the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you dismiss a meaningless person.
Right. No, I get it.
Yeah. So, that's Neil Long, by the way, is the love interest.
Yes.
Yeah. We see her early on sort of running by, and they check her out and shit. And Ice Cube makes it very clear he wants to bone her. Oh, we also, by the way, meet Regina King as his sister. It's fucking crazy to see Regina King in 1995.
It is crazy, and even Nia Long, because not long after this, she's in one of my favorite Spike Lee movies. Not long after this, she's in one of my favorite Spike Lee movies that nobody likes, Girl 6.
She's in that?
She is the, I believe, titular Girl 6.
No, she's definitely not.
You sure?
I'm almost positive. Isn't that Paula Jai Rodriguez or something?
I don't know. Check it out.
Did I make that up? No, it's Teresa Randall, the great Teresa Randall.
So Nia Long's not in that movie, and I just said that?
Yeah, I believe so, Henry.
Wow.
I thought for sure you were going to bring up fucking Boiler Room, your pet favorite.
Oh, yeah. Boy, I thought she was Girl 6. Teresa Randall, of course. Jesus Christ, that's idiotic.
Who was in the aforementioned Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Boiler Room. She's fucking great in Boiler Room. Yeah. Anyway.
She has the indignity of pretending she wants to fuck Giovanni Ribisi in that movie.
It's like Scientology, I guess.
Yeah, I forget. I always forget about that. All right.
It's fun. She likes anti-vaxxers, so there you go.
Well, Ice Cube's anti-vax, too. I mean, we should mention that.
Told me that last week on air. I didn't know that before. But,
yeah, Ice Cube recently turned down a $9 million payday so he didn't have to be vaccinated for a film.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's pretty stupid. I don't know. I sort of get the anti-vaxxers to some degree, but just get the first one, right? At least the first one.
Well, I don't want to get into it with you. You have some newfound thing on it. I don't want to hear. You can have fun with Joe Rogan and all the rest of the fucking people.
You can enjoy your 17th shot next summer.
I will, and I'll be alive, and you won't.
I'll be fine, and everybody else will be too.
Sure.
All right. So, big F. Gary Gray cameo. Did you notice that? I gotta say, I wouldn't have predicted that I would be able to recognize F. Gary Gray on sight, but I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I had to. I only saw afterwards, and then I had to retrofit it into my memory. I didn't know what he looked like, or I didn't remember what he looked like.
They're in that convenience store, and of course, the big gong when the Asian shop owner pops up.
And there's some fucked up shit in this movie.
Oh, there's not that much. There's way more in the next one. F. Gary Gray's sweeping up in that scene.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the Asian stuff, we got the Hispanic stuff in this too. So
that's
whatever.
Next Friday.
Oh, we have it in this too when Chris Tucker's doing his gibberish out to the Hector in the car.
Oh, it was 1 second, and I chuckled.
Yeah, you are forgiving it because you like the movie a lot. That's all that's happening here. If it was me saying that, you'd be crucifying me.
Not true.
Mhm.
Probably true. Chris Tucker. Oh, he does his Michael Jackson dance in this movie. I wrote that down. Yeah, we were saying he can't stop imitating Michael Jackson in the Rush Hour movies, and he's already doing it here.
Yeah,
That's his greatest bit. He loves doing that.
yeah. I don't know.
Maybe that's why he's not famous anymore. Maybe he was canceled along with Michael Jackson.
Rightly so.
Yeah. All right, Bernie Mac. We meet him. He's a reverend. He comes up to them singing the Lord Jesus' name. Hilarious. Everything Bernie Mac says in this movie is hilarious.
Bernie Mac's one of my faves, and I was thrilled that he showed up. That was a nice thing in this movie, that a lot of people just appear, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, I really didn't have any idea that so many people who hadn't become gigantic yet were in this flick,
What a breeding ground for young talent Friday was.
If nothing else.
So much. All that and more. Yeah, so Bernie Mac, of course, spots the hotsy-totsy neighbor across the street, and Mrs. Parker, and goes to bone her. And then Mr. Parker chases him out of the house, and don't even worry about it. It's Tony Cox, the dwarf from Bad Santa and Seinfeld.
Yep.
Very funny.
I didn't see that coming, actually. I didn't think it would be a dwarf.
Me neither. And it's because I like earlier on in the movie, like, Ice Cube keeps saying, like, Mr. Parker is not giving her the dick that she needs or something. Tucker's saying that too. And then, like, it's in the moment you just think they're being jealous because they think Mrs. Parker's hot, but then it's Tony Cox. That's funny. What are you gonna do? All right. So at this point, Debo. All right. Let me. The plot takes off around this time. So Tucker is a weed dealer, and he's
I guess, right?
Yeah, he's like a really low level weed dealer, and his like higher up on the chain guy is Faison Love, who is hysterical.
Yeah,
and he was doing sitcoms around this time too. I used to watch that show, The Parenthood, with Robert Townsend.
Really? Oh, all right. I think the first time I saw Faison Love might have been in Maid.
Oh, yeah. I've always thought that guy's funny. Anything he's in. So Tucker's dealing weed for that guy, but Tucker's also a huge pothead. You know that because his character's name is Smokey. Shout out to Ice Cube, great at naming characters. And he convinces Ice Cube to smoke some of the weed that he's supposed to be selling with him, and they get super stoned and invite some ladies over. Nia Long hangs out. She goes to hook up Tucker with her friend, okay? But the problem is, now that they smoked the weed, they don't have the money to give to Faison Love. And rumor has it, Faison Love once murdered someone over $50.
Right.
Okay. Meanwhile, Debo is like the neighborhood bully or whatever. How does he fit into the plot?
I mean, the best visual of him is riding that tiny bike, obviously. That's
in the second one, right?
No! He's always, because he stole Red's bike.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
DJ Pooh's bike. That's him.
Yeah, Red. Yeah, Pooh had to take a smaller role for that.
Yeah, and he stole his bike, so he's always like riding around the neighborhood just looking for shit to steal from people, and they hide their jewelry every time he comes out. Right. That was one of the weird things. Not him, not Debo, but when you mentioned Faison Love and like the gun and the killing people over $50, like that's one of the weird things that kind of happens. I'd say like halfway through the movie, or more than halfway, but like. It's a comedy, and then it gets like when they do the drive-by. Yeah, it's like what? I did not think the tonal shift worked.
I think the tonal shift works.
I mean,
shit gets serious, you know. This is treated as they're treating their neighborhood as like this fun set of characters, but like shit can pop off at any time. So they get in this bad situation, and then I love the tonal shift because then it switches up to Cube going inside and discussing things with his dad, which I think is the best scene in the whole movie.
No, right, but that happens long before the drive-by. His dad gives him the gun and fists lecture much earlier because he just sees him with the gun. And then
well, I guess the drive-by is just leading up to like all the actiony stuff at the end with the fight. Yeah. The dad tells him that you don't need guns. What are you doing with a gun?
Right.
Like, to protect myself, Cube says. And the dad says, like, you don't need those. Like, the way I see it is, like, if you're holding a gun, that inspires you to get in a gunfight. Like, you're going to get shot if you have a gun.
Not wrong.
Yeah. And so he holds up his dukes, you know, and he says, these are all you need. If you use these, you win some, you lose some, but you live another day.
Yeah.
And I love that scene. Any scene with the dad. Later on, Cube goes into the dad's bedroom. He's just lying on his stomach watching the movie Man's Best Friend. I could not love this character more.
Is that what that movie was?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that was like something they filmed for the movie. I didn't know that was...
I'm pretty sure it was just a clip from Man's Best Friend by John Lafia. That's right. I pulled the director of Man's Best Friend off the top of my head. Smokey's date shows up, and of course she's fat and ugly, even though she said she looks like Janet Jackson.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah, but Tucker's reactions are predictably hysterical. And Debbie... Okay. Oh, right. So they try and, like, steal from Debo at one point while he's sleeping. Yeah. And then when Debo turns up again, he's, like, beat the shit out of Felicia. Because he thought that she stole from him. Correct. And Debbie comes up to protect her sister, and she gets slapped. And that's when Ice Cube pulls out his gun. But, you know, then he realizes, he thinks of his dad in that moment.
Yeah, when he... That's another thing with this, though. Like, it takes this weird turn. Like, when you learn... Like, Debo's kind of like a funny character throughout the movie because he's like a bully, but the way things are filmed and everything, like him on the bike and when he punches Red and it's slow-mo and he like flies like 30 feet on the grass, like it's still very comedic. Then like all of a sudden we learn that Debo beats women, and then when he punches Nia Long, I was like shocked. I was like, holy shit.
There is a light side and a dark side to this neighborhood. That's what it is. That's what the movie's about.
Yeah. That's fine. I just don't think
I like it because I think it's Cube. What?
I find it convincingly written that I was set up that way. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of shocking. It's like, holy shit.
I think context might help in that it was coming out amidst all these hood movies like Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood and Higher Learning and shit that were all like deeply sad and miserable and about how like the hood is like it's impossible to survive and thrive. And
that's to make this movie ultimately to show that it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, but I think they didn't want to. They wanted to say like it is like that. Like those movies are right too, but there's other stuff going on also.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
Shocking when he punches her. If you've never seen the movie, like me, and he hits Nia Long, you're just like, holy fuck.
Yeah, I guess.
What am I watching? Yeah.
But Ice Cube beats the shit out of him, bro. It's a great fight. I love it. It's well choreographed. And then that's the end of the movie. Smokey addresses the camera. It's cute.
Yeah.
All
right.
What do you give it?
It's a good summation.
I think so.
I like what the movie's trying to do. I like its indie sensibilities for sure, which probably were just out of necessity.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, this movie has a different director for sure, so it could be that. But they had more money. Like they had like triple the budget for next Friday,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it is so bad for them. Like
Right,
they have too much money
right.
in that movie. Yeah.
Like this just really just didn't do much for me. I mean, I just did not. It just didn't have enough going for it to keep me very engaged, and I know it's like universally loved, but it's just not really any. I did not really laugh very much, and the things I did laugh at were I don't think what everyone else is laughing at. So, I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 4.
Okay, not 5. All right.
No. Who's your MVP?
My MVP is going to be. It was between The Mother and Phase on Love.
Sure.
So I think I'm going to go with The Mother, Anna Maria Horsford, because I liked her on almost every scene she was in. She made me laugh. And that thing across the street, that shouting match across the street, I don't know why that made me laugh. But her reactions, she didn't even say anything at one point, and it's just very funny. So she's my MVP.
Okay. I am going to go with Chris Tucker.
Not John Witherspoon.
It's Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker, from the second he shows up in this movie, is just, he owns this shit. The guy is a fucking star.
Okay. Well, he's my LVP because I can't fucking stand him.
I know.
He's annoying already. And I got to tell you, I thought I would be giving my LVP to Ice Cube because I just don't like his acting. But in this one, he's not that bad. Like, he's toned down the tough guy thing a little bit. You can tell him, you can see him kind of doing a little different things. His ego doesn't seem to be quite as huge.
I think he's trying to play a version of himself that never got rich and famous. So he does sort of put the ego away for this.
And he almost pulls it off. Yeah, yeah. So he's not my LVP, but I just can't fucking take Chris Tucker, and he's just in the. I mean, he gets worse than the more movies he's in, but he's still just the least enjoyable part of this movie for me. And I do think I would have liked the movie more if it had been another actor in that role because he's so dominant in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Who's your LB?
My LVP.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I mean, I'm looking at the board. I like everybody, but I'll go with Ice Cube's girlfriend. I always thought he's kind of shitty to that character. I don't think the character's super necessary, and I almost prefer the version of it in Next Friday.
Oh,
Day
yeah.
Day's ex. She's played by Paula Jai Parker. Who's also in Hustle and Flow. She's really great in Hustle and Flow, actually.
Oh, okay.
So like nothing against the actor or whatever, but I think the character's underconceived.
Yeah, they just give her like huge nails and
F. Gary Gray shoots her using like a fisheye lens, almost to like try to give her more of a character, like to make her stand out more. It's interesting. All right. That's Friday. Should we talk about the sequel?
Sure.
All right. So next Friday comes years later because like when Friday came out, it wasn't like an out of the box hit. It made money for sure for New Line, but I don't think they ever thought of a sequel until it was airing on television and doing well on video and shit. But then 5 years later, in the year 2000, they released a sequel. Cube is back to write. No poo in sight. Well, actually, plenty of fucking poo in sight in the movie, but not behind the scenes. And we have new director Steve Carr, who Cube, of course, got to pick. He's another one. He was just doing videos. I think he'd even like gotten his start designing record covers for Def Jam.
Yeah, I'm reading that right now.
It says that?
It's Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, LL Cool J.
Yeah. So I guess he was great at that. Maybe he should have stuck to it. But then he switched over to videos. He did Can I Getta and Hard Knock Life for Jay-Z, 2 great videos. And then Next Friday was actually his first movie.
And then he directed some real winners after that, I
Well,
see.
he Next Friday did really well, and so he sort of became a go-to guy at the studios just for like bullshit sequels and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he did Doctor Dolittle 2 with Eddie, then he did Daddy Daycare with Eddie, and God, you go through the list. Rebound with Martin Lawrence. That's such a bad movie. I've seen that.
I
And
had to click on it. I never even heard of it.
yeah. Are We Done Yet, which is the
That I know.
sequel to Are We There Yet with Ice Cube. And then he
Yeah.
did Paul Blart Mall Cop. And I remember when Paul Blart Mall Cop came out, that was such a huge hit that he had a little bit of juice for a while. And he was trying to get like personal shit made, and he never got any of it made.
Yeah, he did that. One of the segments in that piece of shit movie 43 that
Yeah.
nobody wants to watch.
And then he
Yeah.
did Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life, and he did the TV version of Freaky Friday for the Disney
Okay.
Channel. That's his
That
most recent thing.
well, he has one called Ron's Gone Wrong.
Oh, that's right. He worked on Ron's Gone Wrong, which is it was a recent animated movie.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently in development, untitled Netflix family comedy 2021. So we'll look out for that. 2021 almost done, so we better come up with a title soon.
I would think so.
Yeah. This film came out January 12th, 2000. I was primed for it, Henry. And
I imagine.
there was nothing coming out. It was January. It was Dead Zone, you know?
Right,
So
right.
I was psyched for it. I saw it in the theaters and, enjoyed every second of it, obviously.
Yeah,
I really liked it at the time.
you would have been, what were you? You were 13 years old.
Yeah. I would have been turning 14 later that year.
I was 21.
That's wild. So they had,
That's age gap as you. That's so funny. Like if you were at if we were like at some family gathering for friends, be like, oh, this is my son Daniel. He's in 8th grade, and I'd be like, oh, hey kid.
yeah,
really?
you wouldn't want to hang out with me at all.
No, I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna be drinking over here. Hey kid, don't go to college. I could have told you that.
Hey, by 14, I'd already gotten in trouble at a bar mitzvah for drinking all the little wines on a tray.
Ooh, very nice. Good for you.
Thanks. John Carp told the rabbi on me, and I got in trouble. Fucking John Carp, you goody two-shoes little piece of shit.
Wow. What fucking kind of rat bastard does that?
Fucking snitch. And we
I'd
made up.
have probably given you the wine. I'd probably be like, hey kid, take this.
No,
Here,
you would have
have
fought me. You would have said, let me have half.
Yeah, well, I would have shared it with you. I'd have been
Yeah.
like, come on, let's go. Hey. Yeah.
So on a budget of 11 million, this movie made 59.8. It did especially for early January. That's a hit for the studio.
That was a lot of money for January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 45 at the box office for the whole year, between Snow Day and The Whole Nine Yards, a film I cannot believe we haven't covered. That has one of the worst sequels I've ever seen in my life.
I saw the whole 9 yards in the theater with
Me
my
too, and I liked it.
I saw it with my whole family. I don't know why. Maybe my folks were visiting Pittsburgh or something. I was miserable. I hated that fucking movie.
My whole family saw that too. I think we might have been like visiting my sister at college, and like we all went to see it together because it was like a dude from Friends.
Yeah, I don't know why we saw it. It was not my call. I can tell you that. I'm sure I just went along for the ride. Hey, the folks are in town, but
You probably still thought you were like Bruce is in it. Maybe it's good. He might have still had that over you at that point.
No, I was out on Bruce right after Die Hard with a Vengeance.
What,
dude.
you didn't see Disney's The Kid?
See anything with
Come on,
him.
you didn't see The Siege? Everyone saw The Siege. The Jackal?
Nope.
I saw all those fucking movies.
Yeah, no.
All right. Henry, MTV nominated again. Do you want to do the theme again?
We heard it.
You sure? I would like to hear it again.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up again. I didn't have it set. I want my MTV.
That's good stuff. Ice Cube nominated for Best Comedic Performance. Good for him. Moving up in the world.
So funny.
Yeah. He lost to... Why didn't they nominate Mike Epps?
I don't know, because he's funny.
Yeah, he's way funnier.
It's the only reason this gets a rating at all.
I actually completely agree. He kind of carries the thing.
Yeah.
Cube lost, unfortunately, to Adam Sandler for his role in the great film Big Daddy.
Oh, okay. Unseen by me. So
how have you never seen Big Daddy? I've probably seen Big Daddy 20 times.
I haven't seen most of his things.
But this one has the Sprouse twins. And probably Jon Stewart, I think, is in it.
The Sprouse twins, are they like the Chemical Brothers or something? They're like a techno group or
No,
something?
they were babies at the time. They were Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and now one of them is Jughead on Riverdale.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And Joey Lauren Adams was the love interest in Big Daddy.
I do remember that.
Yeah. I was proud of her. I was like, maybe this is the start of good things for her. And then it didn't really pan out. All right. So next Friday, they're definitely making a weed movie. Friday was beloved in the weed community. You know, High Times, loved it.
Yeah,
That's what you did. You hung out in high school, you smoked a J, and you watched some Friday.
You know, there is a weed movie that I do think is funny, and that's saying something, and that is Half Baked.
I think Friday's much better than Half Baked.
I laughed a lot during Half Baked, and I don't know why I was forced to. Somebody made me watch that, and I thought I'd hate it, and I laughed a lot.
There's good weed movies. Like, it's the same as any other genre. Some of them are good, some of them suck.
But if you don't even like the whole central concept of constantly being high, it's
I don't care about that central but like, you don't think like Cheech and Chong are funny? Up in Smoke is a great movie.
I don't find Cheech and Chong funny. No.
That's insane to me.
Oh.
Who doesn't find Cheech and Chong funny? They're just objectively funny.
Okay. Well, you know, it's comedy subjective, so you know.
Not Cheech and Chong.
Not Cheech and Chong.
No.
Objectively.
You know what you are if you don't like Cheech and Chong? Cheech and Wrong.
Oh! It's funnier than anything in any movie about weed.
That's not true.
Cheech and Wrong.
Okay, so it sort of opens on like a Mystery Science Theater 3000. I didn't really understand what was happening. It's like the opening credits, and you've got some guys under the screen sort of going like, oh, hey, that Ice Cube, that guy. Hey. Yeah, but nothing they say is funny.
No, and it's such an ego fucking thing. You know?
Agree.
It's like, here's my movie. Look, they're talking about the cute, you know.
They didn't even say, if they made jokes, like if they sort of roasted all the names that popped up on the screen, but they were literally like Ice Cube's name popped up and they were like, I love that dude. He's talented.
Yeah, he does not have a sense of humor about himself. Never has, so they'd never be able to roast him.
Yeah, so we get previously on Friday because we need to pull back all the plot threads that we left off in the last one because we established that Debo just got beat up, I guess, but at the beginning of next Friday, we're told that he went to jail for 4 years.
Yeah, I wasn't even clear at the end of Friday because they say he went for what?
I guess beating up Felicia.
Okay, well that's good. I couldn't
stealing that bicycle, maybe.
4 years, yeah. Apparently, the jail that we learned is located right downtown.
I was so confused by everything involving this jail.
And then they just walk out the door and they never take off their prison clothes, so they're walking around LA in bright orange jumpsuits.
They don't walk out the door, though. They clearly show them escaping from prison. Like, they jump over a wall. But earlier in the movie, and literally 5 minutes of the movie have happened at this point.
Yeah.
Ice Cube says that Debo, because he narrates the movie.
He knows.
He says that Debo's getting out of prison, and they're worried about it, and that's the reason that they're driving him to the suburbs to stay with his uncle.
Right.
So why do they show Debo escaping prison if we know that he's getting out of prison?
because somehow it's not explained, but Cube says that he's escaping prison. He says it. He's not.
So
yeah, he
Cube
doesn't.
has heard that he's
Yes,
escaping
that's what
prison
it
on
is.
this day?
Right, it's so dumb. Like, everyone has heard that he's breaking out of prison on this
Well,
day.
it seems like maybe it could have gotten back to the guys who work at the prison, like say
I would
the
think
warden.
I would think one would alert the warden to this happening, but
I would
clearly.
think maybe he would be in solitary along with his brother, played by Sticky Fingers.
Yeah. The Rolling Stones albums in this movie?
No, by the superhero count, though. Of course, he later played Blade on the television version of Blade.
Oh, all right.
How about that? Sticky Fingers. So Cube is a pothead now, which kind of bothers me about this movie. Like, I like that he's not a big weed guy in the first
Yeah, I
film.
agree. I found that confusing when he's first make it evident that he is. I was like, wait, like, what?
It seems like the one time he smoked with Smokey in the first Friday launched him into the world of marijuana, and he is now an everyday, constant marijuana smoker. And we're also told that Smokey's not in the movie because he went to rehab for marijuana. Doesn't that completely neuter that character like entirely?
I guess so, man. I don't know. Yeah, that was also strange. There's a lot of things that are messily tied up.
Well, I think they made a mistake not tying into the first movie more. Like, it's fine to not have Chris Tucker. Like, I do think they shouldn't have made this movie. Like,
agreed.
They're making it for money, which is fine. So, like, I'm taking this premise that they have to make the sequel. All right?
Yeah.
If it's my choice, they wouldn't have ever made a sequel. But if they have to make a sequel, I think you do need Chris Tucker for at least a cameo.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know?
Now he's what? He's just too big now, right? That's why he's not in this.
He was doing the Rush Hour movies. He was fucking around with Christianity. And, yeah.
Uh-oh.
And so, I guess he didn't want to do a drug movie. So he stayed home. He barely ever made movies. He's the laziest actor ever.
Christianity?
Yeah.
What was he doing? What did he become?
He got into it. Yeah, something like that.
Ugh.
Yeah. I don't know if he stuck with it, like if he is today, but I think he was dicking around with that at the time.
God.
So the premise of the movie, which I actually think is a really workable premise for a sequel, is good. So it's Debo getting out of prison, right there, great. You're tying into the first movie. And the dad has to drive him to the suburbs where they have family. Okay? So great, we'll meet more family. But I think, and if you're going to do that, then you can just make the movie a sort of version of the first movie where they're like sitting outside in the suburbs and observing all the weird eccentricities of the suburbs.
Yeah, and they try that for a little bit when they get there. Like when they're just standing and kind of Day-Day's giving him the rundown of who's who.
But it drives me crazy that they go to the suburbs and they immediately introduce us to like a Latin gang and an elderly Asian drug dealer. Like, that's not suburb specific. They're still doing hood jokes.
Yeah,
they're just in the suburbs. It would be so much more interesting to hear Ice Cube and preferably DJ Pooh writing a film about what they see in the suburbs.
Yes.
Because they are rich now. Ice Cube's a rich guy. He's been living in rich neighborhoods now for like 10 years. So, like, tell me your observations about that. Stop writing about your fucking childhood.
Yeah, it's true. And also, I mean, if they could have pulled it off with smart writing, it would have been much funnier than having a Latin gang and a Asian stereotype. It would have been much funnier to have just like white neighbors.
Yes, absolutely.
That would have been fucking gold. I mean, that's a gold mine.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know. They went another route.
Or have white people move to the hood where like it's getting gentrified or something, and then you can keep all of the universe that you've built in the first movie.
That's pretty high concept for them, I think.
But like I don't understand setting up Neil Long and the mom and Stanley and Easel and Hector and Faison Love and all these people and just ignoring them entirely in the sequel. You've successfully done some world building here, which is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's about the time gap too, man. 5 years is a long time for a sequel, and I know that it was because it hadn't become a cult movie yet, but those people might not even have been, interested around. I mean, who knows? That'd be a big.
I don't know. I heard he wrote the Sticky Fingers part for the guy who played Easel, and he turned it and he asked for too much money or something, and Ice Cube was like, "I'll just hire my friend."
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like
they had $11 million. Maybe spend less money on fucking complicated shit humor and more on the actors that you've established and set up well.
Yeah. No, I mean you're not wrong. Yeah.
All right, but that doesn't happen. They go to Rancho Cucamonga. I assume they picked that because the name's funny.
Yep.
I've been hearing a lot about Rancho Cucamonga this week because this week on The Bachelor, they had their hometown visits, and it turned out that Roddy, one of the final four, was from Rancho Cucamonga, but then Michelle sent him home, so poor Roddy.
I didn't like that moment in the show. I thought it was unfair. Yeah.
I might have his name wrong. I've been watching too much Big Brother 3, and I've got Roddy on the brain. All right, anyway. I thought it was, they have to trust their hearts, Henry. It's not about fairness.
Trust your
gut. If she's
she's
feeling more for Nate, then she has to pick Nate.
Hey, man, I was Team Edwards, so, she didn't go with that route either.
You're talking about Bella. I'm talking about Michelle. All right. So they go to Rancho Cucamonga, and they meet the cast of characters. The dad is shit on his butt because that's the kind of movie it is. The Uncle Elroy is the uncle he's going to stay with, and he's Dad's brother, and he won the lotto.
Yeah.
Very funny line, by the way. The he has he's a widow. He has a dead wife, and when Ice Cube asks him what numbers he used to play the lotto, he said, "My ex-wife's." It was like 6 digits. I think I used my ex-wife's weight.
I completely missed that line.
Very funny.
Totally missed that line. Okay.
So that's D.C. Curry was the actor who played the dad, the uncle, I mean, and he was sort of a stand-up at the time.
He was fine.
He was fine. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
He's now married to an actress named Kim Whitley.
Yeah. Who I thought initially was somebody else. I thought
oh, really?
Yeah.
Seems like you're doing a lot of that.
No, man. The Nia Long thing is still blowing my mind. I always had that fixed in my brain that was her in Girl 6. Anyway, I thought this girl was the one from 227.
Oh, my God! What, Jack Gay?
Yes, because I was a huge fan of 227 as a kid.
No, this is a much younger person.
Well, but they have a very similar, sex appeal, sexy vibe, going over the top cougar thing going on.
I thought you'd recognize her from I Love You, Man.
I saw she was in that, and I still don't even know who the fuck she was in that.
Anyway, she's in tons of shit. I mean, I couldn't even make heads or tails of what specifically I was recognizing her from. I know that she was in that Master of None episode with Angela Bassett. She played Angela Bassett's sister on that. But I don't... Oh, she's in Hubie Halloween. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I've watched that now twice.
I'm sorry.
Why are you apologizing?
Sorry.
I will watch it every Halloween for the rest of my life.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so she's Aunt Sugar, and she would like to fuck Ice Cube.
Clearly.
Yeah. She's a real sex freak.
Yes.
As is the uncle.
They have a boudoir.
Yeah, they have a sex dungeon with sort of a sex swing and many shelves of dildos.
Yes, and gags and
and when Ice Cube goes in the into the room for like 2 seconds, they're in a sex fever and try to fuck him.
Correct. That scene works really well.
That's not a good scene at all. All right.
There's almost nothing in this movie that works.
I disagree. I don't think it's that bad.
It's fucking atrocious. The only thing in this movie that had my attention, I think, because we got out of the house, was when they went to the record store.
That's my least favorite part of the movie.
When Day introduces Roach as his slave.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about Roach.
That was kind of funny. But, like, you know, I don't know, the pinky shit in that scene goes on so long.
I hate that. I hate anytime there's, like, a complication in a movie where, like, Ice Cube just can't get the words out, like, I'm your employee's cousin.
Right. You're so right.
Nothing works.
No.
Yeah, so Day is Ice Cube's cousin, played by Mike Epps. He's clearly the Smokey of this film, but he doesn't have the confidence that Smokey has. He's sort of a punching bag for Ice Cube, which kind of makes Ice Cube seem like a bully in this movie, and he's a much less likable character for that. But you do like Day. He's funny.
Day did make me laugh when, I think the first time was when he's describing his car to Ice Cube, and he tells him he's got 20s on the tires. Oh
my God. I love that bit. Yeah, they're 10s.
Like, those are 10s. And then he's like, yeah, they're 10s. And then he says it later. And
he's telling a story, and he goes, oh, it was actually that time I was on my way to buy those 20s. 10s.
Yeah. Day was I'll just say it now, the MVP by 1,000 miles.
It's between him and Witherspoon for me.
I gotta tell you, man, and this happens a lot for me when I'm watching a great comedian just get embarrassed all the time. Like, they make him fall in dog shit.
Witherspoon is never embarrassed. He takes it and he makes it work.
He takes it, but he's capable of so much more, and, like, that's how you fucking use him. Like, driving on the highway, having to take a shit for half an hour.
You know what? The scene of him eating that burrito while driving and just monologuing about it for no reason is very funny.
I don't know. I just felt bad. I felt bad for him. The actor I felt bad for.
I still enjoyed him.
All right.
Still love John Witherspoon.
It's nothing against him. I don't like seeing comedians get used like that. Not, I don't know.
Well, it's probably one of the biggest paychecks in his career. Don't feel bad for John Witherspoon.
Well, good. I hope so.
Yeah. So Day-Day's employee, who we follow for the rest of the movie from Pinkies on, is Justin Pierce from Kids.
I've never seen Kids.
Yeah. So Justin Pierce he dropped out of high school when he was 15 to be a skateboarder in Washington Square Park. This is a true story. And and Larry Clark saw him skateboarding in Washington Square Park and invited him to be the star of Kids. He's like one of the major characters in Kids. The problem with this is that Justin Pierce was a major coke and heroin addict. And
I knew that's where this was going.
And when Larry Clark gave him the role in Kids, he now had money, lots of money to buy coke and heroin. And so he moved his ass out to L.A. to become an actor. He won an Independent Spirit Award for Kids.
Okay.
And then just spent the next 5 years basically not acting and just doing coke and heroin.
Oh, no.
And so Justin Pierce in this film is at the end of the road. And he doesn't look good in this movie. I mean, if you've seen him before, he has a weird Band-Aid on his neck for the entire movie. Don't know why. Yeah.
I thought that would be explained or something. I guess that's from shooting needles into the vein.
I don't know. He has I looked him up and he has a tattoo there, so I thought it would be covering up the tattoo, but the tattoo just says Pierce, his last name, which I don't think they would have to cover up.
All right. Yeah. So what happens to him?
Oh, well, 6 months after this movie came out, he hung himself. What? Don't laugh. I'm so sorry. I love to do this to Henry. You okay?
That's not really how I thought he was going to go.
You thought overdose, right? But I swerved you. Hung himself.
You took another exit on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, poor Justin Pierce.
6 months?
Yeah, July 2000.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Multiple suicide notes, and then he was married and his wife died like soon after.
Oh my God. How old was he? Like
25, 20? Yeah. He was one of these, he just aged too young. He dropped out of high school at 15 and was like immediately an adult. I mean, it's like fucking kids. That's why Larry Clark cast him, because it's basically his life.
Good Lord. Oh my God. All right.
All right. R.I.P. to Justin Pierce.
To Roach.
Yeah. So, what else do you want to talk about in this movie?
Well, for me, when this movie really becomes like unwatchable and off the rails is like that last half hour.
Yeah, I
when,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, when they go to the gang house and like there's all this activity happening. None of the gang members are funny.
No, and none of them even really have a character.
No, they're just tropes of Latins. That's it, and none of them are funny.
One of them is funny. I take it back. One of the guys.
Not this guy. I hope
it's the main one. It's whatever the main one is.
The guy with his hat over his eyes the whole time.
I guess so.
Oh boy, I didn't think
they're having him do a thing where he's just saying Latin stereotypes, but he's saying them in sort of the basest form possible, which almost like makes them come around and be funny again. He keeps making references to the movie American Me with Edward James Olmos, and it's such an odd reference point. And he makes it three times. And
I didn't see that movie, and I didn't get that. All right.
Yeah. And then you overhear him when Ice Cube is hiding in the other room, saying, "Oh, cool, let's put on the new Ricky Martin album. I love Ricky Martin. He's really great for the Latino people."
Yeah, I heard that line.
I really liked that line.
And I was trying to think like back, and I do remember, like, this is going to sound like an obvious statement, but I do remember, like, if this was 2000, that fucking song came out in 99 because I was everywhere. So that's a timely reference.
Sure.
Yeah.
He was huge. Shake Your Bon Bon. She Bangs. Everyone only remembers Living the Vida Loca, but he had some real bangers.
It's the best one.
Living the Vida Loca? Yeah, look, that's his masterpiece, but I'm not saying, I don't think the guy's a one-hit wonder. He had some hits.
He did have some hits, but personally my favorite was Living La Vida Loca.
Remember when William Hung did She Bangs?
I actually do. I know that. What was that?
You know why you know that? Because I used to put the William Hung album on in Barnes & Noble.
How did we get away with that shit?
I don't know. Do you remember that it had, in between the songs, it had little skits of William Hung giving, like, inspiring advice?
No.
Follow your dreams. It's like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so the movie's sort of cut up into 3 acts, 3 sections. I mean, all movies are cut up into 3 acts, but like this movie's cut up by location. So
Yeah.
like the first part of it, they're at Day and like Uncle Elroy's house, and they're dealing with like sugar, and we're making all those sex jokes and shit, and a lot of weed because like Ice Cube smokes weed on the couch with his uncle and aunt, right?
Yeah.
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 By the way, he says the uncle in this movie says "puff puff give" instead of "puff puff pass," and Chris Tucker said the same thing in Friday. Does Ice Cube think it's puff puff give?
Well, as a non-weed smoker, I'm not familiar with some of the
Vernacular.
vernacular. Thank you. I was going to say nomenclature. Yeah, the vernacular.
Oh, that works too.
So it's puff puff pass?
Yeah, I've always heard puff puff pass, except in these movies it's puff puff give.
It's not universal among weed smokers.
Ooh, maybe it's an East Coast West Coast thing.
Very much so.
Somebody get back to me.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the first part of the movie where we're like introduced to all the characters and we set everything up. We meet the Jokers, which are the neighbors, the Latino neighbors. And by the way, the Joker brothers, I was just thinking, I hope no one from fucking DC ever catches this movie on cable.
It'll be over. It's the end of it. Yeah.
And they have a sister who's hot. We're supposed to think so. I didn't think she was hot.
Yeah, she didn't really do it for me either. I agree.
I have a theory about this actress.
Parker was the hottest woman in any of these movies.
I mean, everyone's attractive in these movies. Everyone's attractive, but like this woman, I looked her up because here's what I do when an actress or an actor pops up in a film and seem not good enough to have gotten a role in a film.
Yes.
I look them up. Where did they come from?
Uh-oh.
And this actress, Lisa Rodriguez, has 2 minor soap opera credits before this film, and then pops up in this film as the love interest to the main character in a major motion picture. I'm going to say she was thawing that cube.
I think you're probably right. She was on the ice cube tray.
Yeah.
She was in the freezer and she got taken out for this role. Yeah.
I don't know. And frankly, after this movie, she was in 1 episode of Dark Angel and then never worked again.
Oh boy.
All right. So was this a woman who was just fucking Ice Cube specifically when they made Next Friday?
I guess. Yeah. That I think that theory is completely sound.
She's my LVP. She was a horrible, horrible actor.
She was pretty bad.
Yeah. So that's the first section of the movie. Then this next section we follow Day to work, and we get a way too long section at this record store, Pinky's. Now, I will say I love the production design. I would love to shop in Pinky's.
So would I. I thought the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even the jacket. Like, I would like to work at Pinky's. I would wear that outfit.
I didn't like the pink aspect.
I like the pink aspect.
But I liked the jacket you get to wear. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's sort of going on, and Day-Day's ex pops up there. We meet her earlier on at the house, but then she pops up again at Pinky's, and that's Tamala Jones.
Yeah.
You know that actor?
She just keys cars and screams loud.
Yeah. I sort of like how much she's fucking up that car, though. I anytime Day reacts to the car getting messed up, I'm enjoying it. Tamala Jones is an actress that I really like. She was popular at the time. She was getting a lot of roles in movies like this one, and so
really?
I would see her in things.
Okay.
She's in the Ladies' Man movie. She's in The Brothers. She's the female lead in Head of State. Like, she ends up with Chris Rock in that movie.
I haven't seen
as
any
the
of these
first
things.
lady, of course.
She was in Up in the Air too.
Yeah, she was acting in movies for a while. I think these days she's doing more TV.
All right.
I saw her pop up on SEAL Team last year.
Okay. A lot of television.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know her at all, man.
She's a good actor.
Down.
What?
She was in Party Down, an episode of Party Down.
Which one?
Episode James Ellison Funeral.
James Ellison Funeral.
I couldn't pull out I've only seen that show once, so.
Oh, you know what? I think that's like an early one. I could sort of picture her at I can picture her at the funeral. Do you remember? It's like someone shows up at the funeral. It's a black funeral, and a white lady shows up, and it turns out that the dead person had cheated like 20 years ago with this woman, and she has a son.
I don't remember that at all.
Great episode.
Great show, but I didn't remember that. Okay.
It's also the one where Ken Marino gets trapped in the coffin in like a haze of weed smoke. What a great show.
It was a great show. I'd rewatch that whole thing.
You know, it's coming back.
I heard, and I'd want to rewatch it before.
I love it. No Lizzie Kaplan, but everybody else.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess somebody else. Yeah.
She's doing other shit. She just got cast in something insane, like she's playing some famous character or something.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, whatever. The Pinkies is the second part of the movie, and then the third part and worst part is when they go back home and they spend most of that time over at the Joker brothers' house, trying to like steal some shit from them and get their dog. I don't know what's going on.
It was awful. They're trying to steal whatever's in that pot they got, like this. It looks like a giant coffee thermos or some shit. They think some money's in there.
It's a car part, and they think money's in it. Yeah.
I was on my phone at that point. I couldn't take it. It was so bad. I was like, it was on the television, and I was just like in and out of being on my phone. It was so fucking bad.
I get that. I also didn't like the part where they got the dog high, because I saw a dog get high once, and it was not pretty.
Really? You saw something like that?
I saw a dog got into the pot cookies.
That's fucking horrible.
Ate one pot cookie, and it was like, that's what you see in movies. It's like a dog gets high, and it's like, I'm a high dog. I'm just being lazy. Right. Woof, woof. But in actuality, the dog started drooling uncontrollably, vomited, like it looked like it was vomiting its guts out, and then for the next 24 hours was basically just like anytime you even touched it, it just like twitched, like it was terrified.
Horrendous.
It was horrible.
Animal abuse at its. Oh my god. Yeah. Fuck.
All right, it was accidental. Don't call it animal abuse.
It is animal abuse.
The dog did it to himself.
Now I'm upset. Yeah.
All right, sorry I messed up your day. Why does it take the John Witherspoon all day to get back to the suburbs? Because very early on in the movie, Debo and Sticky Fingers see him at that taco stand, and they they sneak into the car, and they call and give a message that he's needed in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Right? So he starts driving to the suburbs, but it's like, when that call happens, it seems to be like 2 p.m. And then he gets to the suburbs, is pitch blackout. It must be like 9 or 10 p.m. Why did it take so long? Because he takes Ice Cube to the suburbs in the first place on the way to work in the morning.
Yeah.
So it can't be a long drive.
I imagine that it's one of them LA traffic movies where they're always saying LA has the worst traffic in the country.
Maybe everyone got out of their cars and performed a song and dance sequence like the beginning of La La Land. That can really fuck up traffic.
Or maybe like the music video for R.E.M.'s Everybody Hurts.
Oh, you think people just start getting out of their cars and communicating with each other telepathically?
Yeah. Maybe it was one of those things where there was a bus that had to keep going 50 miles an hour or it would explode, and so everyone had to kind of
clear the roads. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. There could have been a lot going on there, you know.
Good stuff. All right. I mean, what else is there to say? It ends horribly. There's a lot of violence and guns for no reason. There's Scarface references galore. And then Debo shows up to get into a rematch, and we don't even get to see them fight. The cops immediately arrest them. And I'm like, seriously, Ice Cube? You are ending this movie with the cops rescuing you? You're fuck the police guy.
Yeah, I know. That was something else, man.
And they even showed Day say, like, thank God the cops are here. I'm like, come on.
He's rich and famous now. He's got different views.
Yeah, I know. I know, and that's why he had nothing to say about the suburbs. That he didn't want to talk shit about the suburbs because he likes it.
I'm sure he
He's a
does.
suburb guy.
Sure, his mansion is huge.
Spotless and clean. I'm sure O'Shea Jackson Jr. lived the life of luxury. You know,
Oh my
he
God.
really struggled to get to his acting career, Henry.
Oh Lord. Of course.
He really had to work. He had to work
Audition.
at it, hone his skills, and get turned down a lot. Yeah.
Car, for a while. I had to live in a car for a little bit.
Poor O'Shea. Yeah. A fucking Beamer. I don't know, man. It's a pretty bad movie. I knew you'd give this a 1, and I understand and I sympathize. And I had this at a 3 on Letterboxd because I hadn't seen it since I was like 16 or whatever. And it's not a 3. It's a 2. It's a bad movie. It's a bad sequel. It should never have gotten made. And all the potential that the setup, I really feel, still has, went unused and wasted.
Okay, so you're going 2. I am going 1. You predicted correctly. Yeah, this is just absolute torture for me. Yeah.
I gotta say, I remember this one being much better than the third one, so I'm concerned about the third one.
Oh my, we might have a rough week next week. Yeah.
Very possible. Although we will have the first Look Who's Talking movies, which is a delight.
Well, I probably last saw it when I was 12 and thought it was great, so I don't know what that'll hold for me today, but we'll see.
You can make your MVP one of those little sperms at the beginning.
Oh, good. Oh, God, help me.
All right, who's your MVP? Is it Mike Epps?
Yeah, Mike Epps.
I'll go with John Witherspoon, man, just because he deserves one for these movies.
All right, I'm going to go LVP. You're going to give it to that girl.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Cube.
Cube? No, I think that's crazy. To me, I think any character returning from the first movie is valuable in their own way. So you can't give it to Cube. I think the options here should be the Joker brothers, their sister, maybe the Asian one, although she had a couple of good lines, and maybe Tamala Jones's sidekick.
Well, she's bad. Maybe Pinky.
Do you know who played that sidekick, by the way?
No.
The Lady of Rage. Do you remember the Lady of Rage?
No.
She was a female rapper / singer, I think, in the... I know she rapped. I think she sung, too. And she was on a lot of those, classic West Coast hip-hop records from the early 90s.
Really?
Anytime you hear a woman on The Chronic, it's her.
Really?
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it in my head right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh. God, that's funny. I know. All right, fair enough. LVP's going to Pinky.
Pinky. Okay, and that was Clifton Powell, well-known actor.
Well, he's got the Jerry curl, he's got the gun, the pink suit. It makes no sense.
And the sequence goes on forever.
Yeah, it's embarrassingly long.
And it's physical. It's just Ice Cube doing physical comedy. Why am I watching this?
Yes.
Anytime they cut to the back with, Mike Epps chatting with Roach, I was just thankful not to be watching that.
Yeah, I know. So Pinky, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, that scene was more annoying than anything that my LVP did. I'm just going with acting skill here.
No, I understand that. She's pretty bad.
Yeah. All right, so that's fucking those Friday movies. Next week, we'll pop back into the Friday franchise with its Christmas installment, so we'll be getting into the spirit. Maybe I'll get some sleigh bells.
Oh!
Yeah. So Friday After Next by director Marcus Rayboy, whoever that is. And we'll also be talking about the first Look Who's Talking film, written and directed by the great Amy Heckerling.
Oh, that's right. That is Amy Heckerling. Okay.
She also did the second one, to different results.
I believe I've seen both the first and the second. I know.
You never saw the third one with the dogs?
I must have been out at that point. I was probably in 8th or 9th grade.
I saw it in the theaters, baby.
fucking 5 or 6 years old. You're gonna love that shit. Yeah.
I think I was 7.
You know what?
I think I was 7. You know what's wild? I think I saw that movie like right around the same time I saw Schindler's List.
I saw Schindler's List when I was a freshman in high school. You saw it. I was a freshman in high school. You were a fucking toddler.
It's important. It's an important film. You know, I was a Jew. We all had to watch it.
My dad took me to see that because, and I remember very earnest and wonderful memory. I remember him just like telling me like this movie is something that you need to see.
I bet Christian parents took their kids to see Passion of the Christ for the same reason.
Yeah, I'm sure
Isn't
you're
that
right.
wild? I bet you I'm right.
I'm sure you're right, but my atheist father took his atheist son to see Schindler's List because he felt it was like important to do.
I love your dad for that. I really do. Because I think that movie is important. I think everybody should see it. And I think the rise in Holocaust denialism in the present day is continually shocking and dismaying and disturbing.
Totally correct.
Okay.
That's putting it as an understatement, but well said.
I wonder if Ice Cube believes the Holocaust happened.
I don't.
I think it's a real toss-up.
Would not shock me if he didn't.
Yeah.
Would not shock me if he didn't. Nothing really.
I hate Ice Cube for a lot of reasons, and one of which is he made it so my dad doesn't respect hip-hop. My father, years ago, heard Ice Cube interviewed on Howard Stern. And he's described like his process in like the studio. And he basically said, no, you get a producer, he does all the work for you, and then you write the rhymes. And I was like, yeah, Ice Cube, that's how you do it.
Right. Yeah, right.
There's like a lot of rappers out there that are actually talented.